Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope there's some gentlemen there today because today's subject is very important. Herbal treatments for male libido. What is a man without his libido? Not a man. That's right. So, men aren't that concerned about their high blood pressure, their diabetes, their cholesterol. They're not sometimes even concerned about their big belly, but they are concerned about their sexual performance and their sexual ability. In fact, I get men all the time with high blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, and joint pain. And then they say, "Can you give me some of those male libido herbs you gave my friend?" I go, "Look, you got to take care of your blood pressure first, your diabetes first. You have to take care of your joint pain. And then I'll give you the herbs at the end if you're a good patient." And that's the way I get these men to take their herbs because that's all they're thinking about. I can't blame them. I'm a man. I know how it goes. It's important. So today we're going to talk about dietary and some nutritional guidelines for healthy male reproductive system. And then we're going to cover 3 levels of herbal support. The first level will be we call it male support, reproductive support, just for any sexually active man, young or old, just to kind of keep you going so you're not too tired, not too depleted, can keep making more semen, be ready for the next time. And then the second level of herbs that I'm going to talk about are for the man needs a little more help, a little more kick, maybe a little more elderly, and just needs a little bit more oomph there. That'll be the next level of herbs that I discuss. And some of the herbs cross over, of course. Sometimes they're just additional herbs in one formula and not another. And then the third level of herbs that I'm going to talk about is for a man with some type of dysfunction like ED, erectile dysfunction. And we'll talk about a little bit about PE, premature ejaculation. So those are the 3 kind of major categories that I'll talk about. And then we'll cover those herbs and those products that line up with those different category of support. Just general male support for any active man, a man who just needs a little bit more help, a little bit not as young as he used to be, and then a man who actually has a little dysfunction and it's more of a serious condition. Those would be the 3 levels. And all the products that I covered today will be available on herbmanteas.com. So you'll be able to go there and purchase any of these products that I present to you today because they are made by our sponsor. So let's start first with dietary guidelines. And, men like to overlook that and they just want to go straight to the herbs. And I know you're waiting to just hear all about these herbs and try to get your hands on them as fast as you can. But diet is important and stress is important too. So that's kind of lifestyle. A stressed out man doesn't make a good lover. A man who couldn't sleep all night, not a good lover. So you got to be sleeping good, you got to be relaxed, and you can't be stressed out. So a lot of times with men, particularly when you talk about PE, premature ejaculation, you find that's a nervous system condition. And so we find that's the stressed out, anxious person, overworked, drinking too much coffee, having too much stimulants, not sleeping good through the night. So I can't give you an herb for PE. I have to actually support your nervous system, get you to sleep, get you to relax, and help you deal with stress better and get you off all these crazy stimulants that you're doing, like all the coffee. So your life is also very important. Good sleep, good rest and recovery. A man recovers at night. He's able to rest the body, rest the muscles. The reproductive system can make more semen and be ready for the next day. But if he ain't sleeping, he ain't going to be ready. He's not going to have what it takes for this act, which takes a lot of work, a lot of energy and concentration, and you can't be stressed out. So always look at stress, anxiety, and sleep first. Then look at your diet. You can't be a good lover living off of smoothies. Semen is mostly protein, and it takes muscle mass, energy, and stamina, of course, to be a good lover. And so you're not going to do that living off of smoothies and coffee. Generally, you have to lean more towards some healthy protein. And I don't believe we should just be trying to take protein shakes all the time to get our protein. I mean, sure, you can get your protein from legumes and beans, but better if you're doing legumes and beans to at least add in some dairy, some cheese. And one of the best foods for male reproductive strength, and you'll see all of the formulas that I present you today are, except for one T, are recommended to be taken in milk. That's probably the best thing for supporting, not the stimulation, but the supporting of your reproductive system is raw, whole milk. Now, I remember this Mexican guy I met when I used to ride my horse out in the mountains of Southern California outside of Ojai, and he raised goats. And goat milk in Ayurveda is even considered better for the male reproductive system than cow milk. And so this Mexican guy was out there with his goats, and I'd come riding by with my horse. And, it was a pretty macho guy. So, I pounded my chest and put up my arms and, showed my muscles. And he was like 80, 90 years old. This guy was old, but I knew he was strong. And his famous words, and then he would give me some fresh milk right from the goats, usually in an old, Miller Lite can where he tore the top off, just put it under the goat, milked it right there and handed it to me. And I'm on the horse moving around, and I've got this, Miller Lite can with the top ripped off with warm goat milk in it. And I'm slabbing it down. It's dripping down here. And then when I'm done, crushed the can, threw it on the ground, and me and him were like, yeah, it was kind of a routine because we didn't speak much English to each other, but he would always pound his chest, forte, 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 and he would put his hand up, and we were just kind of a little thing we had going. But when we did have a chance to speak, his famous lines were, he did sell goat milk for a living. He raised goats, and he said, beer, cerveza, makes you weak, and milk makes you strong. Brr. And he was correct. Ayurveda says the same thing. Alcohol is probably the worst thing you could ever do for your libido. And goat milk, or at least full fat cow milk, is very building and very strengthening. And this guy was strong and old. So I think he had a libido at his age. He wasn't having a problem. And he contributed it 100% to his raw goat milk. So hope you like that story. But it emphasizes. So you're not going to have a strong libido and be making semen, drinking coffee, milk, and soda pop. Sugary things. These are all making you weaker, raising your blood sugar, damaging your nervous system, increasing more inflammation. So sugary foods and too much fried, fatty foods, fast foods, junk foods, you get the saturated fats. These are not healthy because they're not the right fats to make more semen and support your reproductive system. And so milk. And then another good one is dates. Milk and dates. See, I have them right here for you. Dates. You have dates and milk are known to be building for a man. And also almonds. So I got it right here. You notice I have all this stuff. Huh? I didn't have to go look. This is almond butter, 100% almond butter with a little maple syrup. I love Justin's. He's great, real smooth, real sweet. And again, you should be having full meals. And every man knows once you're sexually active, your appetite goes up. Sure, you could be fasting and relaxing, but once you start becoming sexually active, you're looking at food in a different way. And that's your body telling you it needs to replenish to that, what you've lost. They say that it takes, so many pounds or volume, I guess, of food, digested food, to make a drop of blood. One drop of blood, there's some certain amount of food that you have to just make blood, because it's one of the things, all these nutrients in food, we're making blood, we're making protein, we're building our tissue, building cells. And then it takes so much blood to make semen. So it's very refined and very concentrated and very nutritious and dense semen. So you're going to have to be eating a higher protein diet, sufficient fat, because that's part of the ingredient of semen is fat. And that's why milk is one of the best substances, because it's high in protein, high in fat, easy to digest, and it's cooling. And that's very important for the reproductive system. The male's testes are outside the body to keep them cool, because we can't, if the semen gets too hot, you become infertile, which is what they used to do in the past. They would get in hot saunas, and that was a type of birth control. So milk, almonds, dates, animal protein, fish, not skipping meals, smoothies, and coffees. You got it? So that's the basis to it. And most men, they realize that right away, that they generally want to eat more and consume more, because they've got to make more. Takes a lot of food to make more semen for the next day. And that's why when you're young, your body can make it fast, a couple hours. And when you're old, it could take a couple weeks. But if you're not eating well, it's going to take a lot longer. And of course, there's some nutrients that are very good for men, like zinc. And of course, zinc works better with copper, which is why I have this product here by my friend, Dr. Zaidi. And it's got zinc and copper together. All right. Kind of hard to see, but you got it. I would take zinc every single day, at least one. If you're sexually active, you may need to take 2. Okay. So diet's important. Stress is important. Sleep is important. All these are important. So next, we're going to talk about the first level of herbal support for a man who's sexually active that wants to just keep on going and not be weak. We know, like, for example, boxers and professional athletes, they don't want to have sex the night before they, have to perform athletically, because it makes them weak. Their body still has not recovered from the night before. So this formula, we call it, it's a traditional Ayurvedic formula called, Ayurvedic male reproductive tonic. Tonic means building and strengthening. At one time, this was called male support tonic. It just kind of changed its name for sexual recovery, stamina, and increased sperm. And it says non-stimulating, can take at night, can use long-term. So this is for every man. There's Mukuna Perni, and ashwagandha. Mukuna Perni is actually supporting the nervous system, but it also is building. It's a building herb. But ashwagandha may be one of the best herbs. Shatavari, also a white, soft, creamy, nurturing, cooling herb, used not only, many people think that it's just used for hot flashes for women, but it's also helpful for men. And then Anantamul, I'll just go through these. It's easier. Anantamul, this is also used for another cooling, sweet, nurturing herb that helps build semen. Soft muesli. Now, soft muesli is, there's 5 types of muesli. So this is soft muesli. Some people will like to take all 5. And it's it's also another white, creamy, soft, nurturing, building herb, but it's a stronger aphrodisiac qualities. Ashwagandha by itself is not going to boost your libido. Now, I know people take it, people sell it like it's some superfood for men, but it's supportive, but you're not going to be more aroused. You're not going to have a bigger erection from ashwagandha. You're going to feel a little stronger. It's a strong, building, strengthening herb for stamina and stress, but it's not a strong aphrodisiac. And then Vidarikan, we also use it for weight gain. So it's another building, strengthening herb. And then Abrakbasma is a mineral, mica, actually. And that's one of the secret ingredients in this formula you're not going to see anywhere else, is the minerals. It's one of my secrets and why a lot of my formulas work and others don't, just because I'm using basmas, but it's very advanced. And then there's cardamom. Cardamom is also a non-stimulating, mild spice that's used in many male support formulas, but not stimulating. If you want it stimulating, then you use pipali or sweet pepper. Now, the very last ingredient is Shilajit. See Shilajit on the bottom there? We're going to talk all about Shilajit. Oh, Shilajit didn't even make it here to my desk. I had a whole container full of it. It's a black resin. I didn't make it, but we sell pure Shilajit, and just Shilajit alone. If you take it every day, the man will, after a couple weeks, will start to get his morning woody. It doesn't have that kind of like kick. You don't feel like a kick. It's slow acting. But anybody can take it. You can give Shilajit to women, children. It's it's a mineral sap from the mountains. But it's another thing that makes this formula very good. And this is non-stimulating. So at one point, the instructions used to say it can be taken in the evening. Well, it still does. This 2 to 3 teaspoons. This is not like some strong colon herb or that you would take only a teaspoon, or a liver formula where you just take a quarter teaspoon. This is more like tablespoon in some whole cow milk each evening or after sex, because this is for recovery. This is non-stimulating. There's no stimulating herbs in here like ginseng or anything like that. It's going to keep you up at night. Maybe the Shilajit is, taking it late at night. It's not perfect, but there's only a small amount in here. So this is meant to be taken every day, every day, every day, every day. You can just have it every day for breakfast. You can have it every day in the evening. So if you have intercourse at night, you could take it afterwards so you recover faster and you don't feel weak and tired the next day. So male reproductive tonic, and that is available on herbmanteas.com. Used to be called male support. Both names are good. But that's its name now. Now, the next level of support is we call this product male virility. Now, this one's got the stimulants in it, and we got a couple of them here. We're going to cover it. And this is for, man needs a little more help. It says increases sexual drive, stamina, and strength. You don't want to be taking this late at night. It's better. I say take 1 or 2 teaspoons each morning for energy. So, you could have energy and good libido all day long, ready to go at a moment's notice. Or before sex, like an hour before sex. But I wouldn't take it too late, like in the evening. I know men who say they come home from dinner, after dinner, they take it. And then, later in that evening, they're good to go when they weren't before. So you'll feel it in about an hour. And again, with raw milk. Goat milk would be even better. I don't mention that on here. Now we have elethro root. Elethro root is a type of ginseng. We call it Siberian ginseng, poor man ginseng. It's not the strongest ginseng, but it's a big portion of it. You don't want to be taking this late at night. But it also has ginseng, white ginseng root from Korea, which is quite expensive. And then a lot of the other herbs are the same ones you saw in the other formula: ashwagandha, kapikachu, soft muesli, and some cardamom. So it's got the male support for herbs in the first formula, but it's got 2 types of ginseng. And the first and a big chunk of this formula is the elethro, and then there's a good amount of ginseng in there too. So that's why men could just take this in the morning, every morning. It's like a cup of coffee. I mean, it's going to get him going. But it's also going to help support his whole reproductive system. Now, you could take this male virility one in the morning or in the early evening, and then later in the evening to recover, you could take the male support or male reproductive one. So they kind of go together. You could say one's before sex, one's after sex, one's to get you going, one's to get you to recover. You could think like that. So many times I do give them to people as a package. And some men, they don't really want the stimulation in the morning, so they just do the male support one in the morning or late at night that night. And then when they come home from work, they do the strong one with the ginseng in it. Now, the next level of support is for a man that needs more than just a little kick and a little help. He's got, we call it more of a little dysfunction here. And this is the ED formula. And this one is still the most stimulating one. And this one improves the erection. And it's a very strong aphrodisiac. So generally, I just tell the men, just take it every morning, and it will take about a week or so to kick in. It says 1 to 2 teaspoons every morning for energy and stamina. So it's so strong, you wouldn't really want to take it too late in the day, because this one's got ashwagandha as a base, kapikachu, gokshura, a lot of white ginseng. It's like the third ingredient, soft muesli, ankakara, and Shilajit. So you got the Shilajit, and you've got the most ginseng in this formula. So a bag's a little smaller, it's a little more expensive. So this one's got the most kick, and we generally, unless you're having a honeymoon, I would not take it at night. Just take it every morning. So there's some men say they have ED, they'll take this every morning, and then maybe they take one of the other ones as well. Usually I'll sell at least 2. Now, those are all Indian herbs, and they do take time. This is not like Viagra, boys. You don't just drop that baby like a magic. This is building your reproductive system. It's doing something. So it takes most men a couple weeks of taking those herbs, sleeping better, eating better, getting stressed down until they start to see an improvement in the erection. It's not like, oh, I tried it tonight, it didn't work. No, doesn't work like that. This isn't a medicine. This is a treatment. It's helping you. But then again, men, they'll take it for long periods of time, and then they can go for a while and they don't need it. So you're supporting your reproductive system. You're not just saying, oh, I just want a big hard-on, and not to worry about all the consequences of the medication and what else it does, jacking up my high blood pressure, damaging my liver. You can't, that's not the goal here. This is healthy. You could take these long-term. The only problems you could have if you take too much of these, you may not sleep very well. So I know men who say it works great, but I have to take some sleeping herbs afterwards. So they're taking these potent ginseng-based formulas in the evening, improving their sex life, and then afterwards I got to take some sleeping herbs. But hey, that's not the end of the world. These are all just plants. There's no real harm in doing this. Now, the next one, which is a big seller, people just tend to buy this one, I think, more because of the name. They don't really understand the Ayurvedic formulas. They just they see that name, male libido tea, and that's what people think. Now, this is all using Western herbs. And that's, of course, still available on Herbman Tea. There we go. Increases sexual desire, energy, stamina, blood flow to the genitals, and will help with ED. So generally, I'll give this one out too for the ED guy, but not recommended for premature ejaculation. This one is very stimulating and really get a short-term benefit. And it does have ashwagandha in it again, because that's good for stamina. It has gokshura, which is another herb in Ayurveda. So, okay, I mixed. Originally, it was just a Western herb, and then I added the ashwagandha and the gokshura to give it a little more stamina and not just make it all stimulating, because you got 3 stimulating Western herbs here. Well, I mean, they're used in Western herbalism. Daminia, which is an aphrodisiac, also can be used for women because it's not too strong. But then you've got horny goatweed. And that one, well, we know how they figured that one out by watching the goats. And then yohimbi bark, which is a real testosterone builder. Some of those Indian herbs, too, are known to increase testosterone. But with this formula, it's the yohimbi, which is why we don't want to put it in a prostate. Sometimes people come to me with prostate and they're taking yohimbi, and you don't want to take yohimbi in some of these if you have inflammatory prostate conditions. And then I throw some Chinese herbs in there, ginseng, because that's probably the king of all libido herbs is ginseng. So in fact, This formula used to be just Western herbs. Then I put in the gokshura and the ashwagandha, some Ayurvedic stamina building herbs. And then I put ginseng. I put ginseng powder in there too. So because it just sticks all over the herbs. I don't use the ginseng pieces because you'd have to really like boil them, and generally men are in a big hurry and they don't have time to boil a cup of tea. They just want to like pour in some hot water and get it going. So I put ginseng powder in there, ginseng powder extract. And then we just put in a certain amount and mix it all up, and it just sticks all over the herbs. But when you pour that hot water on, dissolves instantly into it. But it's very stimulating. I think somewhere on here is even a warning. Don't drink too late at night. Don't drink alone. Make sure she's ready, because this is the most stimulating one. So many men have come back to me and they say, oh, I use that if I want to go a second time. I use that on the honeymoon. I use that for the late night. I use that as a backup. I use it as an emergency. I've heard all kinds of things, but it's a good one to have. But unfortunately, most people just buy this when they see my products online, Herb Teas or eBay. And really, they should be focusing on those other ones, the male support, or at least the male virility one, taking that every day. That's going to support the reproductive system, because tea, you're not really getting that much building because you're just doing an infusion or a decoction. It's going to rush into your system. It's going to hit you in 30 minutes. You're going to feel that libido, that kick, the heart pumping, and don't be doing this tea with high blood pressure, because this is going to get the heart pumping for 30 minutes to an hour. And that's, you have to keep that in mind. This is not something you'd want to be relying on, and not good for long-term use. Those other formulas are better, and the combination is the best. And then once you use it, you can learn, okay, don't make it too strong, or I'm not going to be sleeping tonight. I've heard that. I've had men return it saying it's too strong. I mean, I couldn't, I got the erection, but it didn't last. And that's too stimulating. So I even put on the front, not good for men who are very sensitive, have anxiety, or tendency for premature ejaculation. It's mostly for the man who has ED. So usually I'll give, if you came to me as an appointment for ED, I'd probably give you 3 products. I'd give you the male virility. Just take that baby in the morning to get you going. And then I'd give you the ED formula, take in the early evening, an hour before. And then if you were needed a little backup and an extra kick, take a cup of that. That's generally how I treat it. And make sure you have a good meal in there somewhere, and you're nice and relaxed. I've noticed men also like the relaxing tea. Some men have said that really helps them, because if you have PE, for example, and you get too anxious and nervous and you're ejaculating too soon, you don't want these strong stimulants. Actually, some men have said the relaxing tea helped them, even the sleeping tea, because they're too excited, they're too nervous, they're too sensitive. So they actually have to have other products to help them relax and calm down, slow down. So in that case, that type of person, he could just do the male support formula without any stimulants, plus some relaxing tea in the evening. So the male support will help create the libido without the stimulation, help make more semen, keep the the desire there without the stimulation. And then the relaxing tea will just kind of keep him calm, so he doesn't ejaculate too soon. I had to tell you a few stories. And one man, he was an older man, and he was taking it every day. I'm just doing the follow-up appointment a month later, and I go, how'd it go? And he goes, well, I was taking it every day. I wasn't even sure it was working or not. I mean, it wasn't for the first week or two, but I kept taking it, be serious. And every morning he went to a yoga class, and he said one morning he was lying down on his back, just listening to the yoga teacher. And he said he wasn't thinking any sexual thoughts about the yoga teacher. She was a woman. She was good looking. She had a nice voice. But he said that's not what he was thinking. And then he looked down and he noticed he had a giant erection, like 7:30 in the morning. He said he went into the bathroom and it didn't even come down. So he just kind of like skedaddled out the side door. And then he said, okay, I better not take those herbs until after the yoga class. But he said from that time on, he was good. And that's what we call the morning woody. And that's the first sign. That's what you really want. You want to have the male reproductive system make its own erection all by itself every morning. You know, it's a joke that men say it's like testing out the system, making sure it's ready for the day. And if you start taking those herbs in a couple weeks, you start to get the morning woody, they call it. And then you know that your libido's back, the circulation's good. Circulation can be another issue that I can often treat separately, but that's usually the important sign. And when men say they have a performance problem, I always ask them, do they get the morning woody? And then I say, you just keep taking those herbs until you get it, because that means you're good to go. So the results are not immediate, like a Viagra, I repeat. So you have to keep going and keep taking the herbs, and then you will see the results in time. But again, you have to have a nice, healthy diet. You can't be a good lover living off of smoothies and coffee and skipping meals. You need to have healthy, full meals, and you have to have good digestion. If you've got a lot of gas, bloating, constipation, that's going to be a handicap. It's going to not, you're not going to be fully there. You're not going to be getting all your nutrients from your food when you have digestive problems. If you have joint pain and inflammation, it's hard to relax and concentrate when you're in pain. And if you're, of course, if you're depleted and underweight, you're going to be weak and have poor performance, and you'd probably ejaculate too soon. And if you're overweight, you're going to have another problem. So it also could be more on the other end of having poor erection. So body weight is important. Circulation is important. It takes a tremendous amount of energy and stamina and concentration for a man. And it's a very delicate subject, actually. And of course, many women know this. And so they give men a lot of space and don't give them pressure, because that only makes it more difficult for the man. So I hope that helped you fellas out, or ladies. And feel free to go to herbmanteas.com, our sponsor. And all 4 of those products that I covered are available there. And if you feel you really need support, of course, and you have a more serious condition or other issues, because a lot of medications, particularly like diabetic medication, can be a big problem. A lot of men on diabetic medication come to me because they realize it's the medication that wiped out their libido. So if you're diabetic and you're taking medication, that's the reason for your poor erection or inability to have an erection, well, the herbs aren't going to work. You got to treat the diabetes first. And so you can treat the diabetes, you can get off the medication, and then you got to get on the herbs. So it's a lot of medication will affect a man's ability to have a healthy erection. So if you have a complex case, you're on high blood pressure meds, you're on blood sugar meds, you have a lot of inflammation and pain, then it's better you do an appointment so we can resolve all those issues and then provide the herbs, or start on the herbs simultaneously as we're treating all those other conditions. I just wanted to say that if you have even inflammation, pain, diabetes, high blood pressure, then this all need to be resolved first for you to be a healthy, horny, well-performing man. All right. God bless you all. I wish you the best of health and happiness and great sex. Thank you very much.